Are you concerned about all this corruption being misgendered as conspiracies? Well, don't you worry. Sit back, relax, and join in the conversation as we talk with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
Hello and welcome to the channel. It's me, Chris Brooks, for another LSB Film podcast. Today I am joined by the marvellous Josephine Wallow. And Josephine, I met when we attended the Great Resist in Thetford this weekend just gone. And it was a great conversation. And I thought, let's get you on the show because we all want to hear what you've got to say. Now, Josephine's going to talk to us regarding trusts, the benefits of trusts, and she wants to provide us some basic information on creating them and where to look, and basically just to discuss her story and her experience in this matter. So without further ado, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. Yeah, lovely to meet you the other day.
Yes, you too. I really enjoyed it. There was loads of lovely people there, and the place was absolutely packed. And I got to talk to Richard Vobes because I was on his show last October, talking about
Vobesy.
Yes, absolutely. Talking about express private trusts. It's not the most exciting of subjects, but it's really important. I just want to say that I am not a solicitor. I don't give advice. I'm just pointing out the facts, and people, and just making people aware what will happen if they have any substantial assets or even just a property, and what will happen if they die and they're over the inheritance threshold. Everything I'm saying can be found out on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
You've just got to know that you need to look for it. And that is the problem. We're not taught these things. We don't realise that this is going to be a problem down the line. Most people think you have to be a millionaire to pay inheritance tax. That's not so. And I got into this a couple of years ago talking to Gavin from Sovereign Empowerment because he does trust too. And we were talking about this because I went to him for a bit of help because I had a bit of an issue with a utility company who broke onto my property and stole my stuff, and the police came and all that sort of lovely stuff. And the police obviously took their side, and I kept them at bay for 6 hours on my own. And eventually the police said, well, if you don't let these people in to do their job, we will arrest you for disturbing the peace.
How can you disturb the peace on your own property?
Exactly.
When they've come to you.
Exactly. I said, what about my peace? They've been here 6 hours. So they cut the chain on my gate and they came in, stole my meters, replaced them with smart meters. I had those removed 4 days later and changed providers. And it's ongoing. It's ongoing. I've put them to the back burner at the moment, but they are going to be sued. I will be taking them to court because Ofgem didn't uphold any of my complaint because obviously they're all in bed together.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I got. So I was talking to them.
They've committed criminal damage by cutting your chain and
theft.
But
because they had.
Did you want to name the company, or is it?
Oh well, they're all bastards as far as I'm concerned. Honestly, I don't think there's a good utility company, but this was with E.ON,
okay,
who took over from npower, and that's another story because I claimed all my direct debits back.
Sounds like a 90s boy band, doesn't it?
Honestly, yeah, and I claimed all my utility payments back. And got that money back September 23. February 24, the bank contacted me and said they've got proof of my contract and they'll be taking the money back. So I closed my account, moved my money across to somewhere else, and they didn't shut my account and they put me in £6,900 overdraft. So I complained to the bank and they didn't uphold my complaint. They didn't give me proof that they were allowed to work on behalf of the third party, which we all know they're not. They broke their own banking rules, direct debit, GDPR, all that. So they're going to court too. They've just received an affidavit, so I'm waiting for their response. So that's how I got into this. I was a mortgage advisor for over 19 years. I gave that up last May. I was self-employed, whole of market, so I wasn't tied to any particular lender. I gave that up last May because I just couldn't do it anymore. Because over the last 5 years, I've found out all about the corruption in our banking system, in our government, and I just couldn't do it. I just didn't feel good anymore. So I
Well,
gave up. I don't know.
fair play to you, because not many people do that. A lot of people, and I can understand it, are like, oh, I need the money. I need
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I mean, I did soldier on for a couple of years because I have a mortgage too, and I need to earn money. But it just so depressed me, and the compliance is horrendous. And the proof that you need now to get a mortgage is absolutely ridiculous. It's not. I'm not surprised. Whether if they bring in, you have to have DNA next. It is an
Well, I'm
absolute
sure that's
nightmare.
probably coming down the line somewhere, or
Yeah, yeah. So I gave
biometrics.
that up. I gave that up in May. I was speaking to Gavin about my utility problems, and he suggested, because I used to do discretionary trusts in my job for people's life cover and stuff like that. So I wasn't completely new to it. So he said, why don't you do it on your own? And I said, I don't know if I can. He went, of course you can, Jack. You can do this. You know all about it anyway. So I mean, there's no such thing as coincidence as far as I'm concerned. I
Everything
met
happens
Richard.
for a reason.
Exactly. I met Richard a couple of times, and I saw him in Needham Market a couple of years ago, I think now. And I had a chat, and I said, he said, what do you do? I said, well, now I'm helping people with their express trusts. And he said, do you want to come on the show? I went, oh, go on then. And that was it last October. Um, and I was blown away by the amount of interest I had. I mean, I had over 300 emails in the first few days. And it was crazy.
You might get 3 on here.
Well, three is better than
Audiences
nothing.
audiences are slightly different, although it's probably the same kind of audience that watches Richard.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
he has the magnitude of just how many people, but
yeah. And you're more local, aren't you? So
yeah,
you
I'm a
probably just
local
get
boy.
local stuff.
I'm like the Caleb of Thetford. That's a reference. That's a reference to Jeremy Clarkson's farm, because
Okay.
he's deemed the local boy, isn't he? But no.
Yeah, yeah.
So just quickly, what, because so many people are asleep to what it is that we're talking about, what made you initially go down this avenue?
Well, actually, speaking to Gavin, because he started doing these trusts, and then I always knew about inheritance tax rules, and I just really didn't look too deeply into it. I never thought it was a big deal, but over my research, it's a massive deal. And a trust is a legal instrument that you can put your assets in, and basically you're giving away those assets while you're alive to somebody else. The trustees looks after that asset until you pass, and then they distribute that to your beneficiaries, your children, or whoever you want it to go to. As I said, most people's houses are worth close to 300 or over these days, and the allowance is 325 per person. So what happens, and this is really interesting actually, because it's not the law that you have to tell anybody anything, but because we've been conditioned to tell everybody everything we own, everything we've got, when you do probate, when somebody's died, they rely on people's honesty to tell them exactly what that deceased person has got. And you give them all this information, then they add it all up, and anything over the 325 allowance is taxed at 40%. Now, if you have a property and you're leaving it to your children, which most people do, then, or children, stepchildren, grandchildren, then you get an extra 175,000 on top of your 325, which is great. You've now got 500 grand before you have to pay inheritance tax. But people have usually got more than a property. They've usually got investments. They've usually got life cover, 300,000 life cover, which becomes part of your estate, which is taxable unless it's put in trust. And you can do that very easily by contacting your protection provider and tell them you want it in trust.
Mm.
The same with any private pensions. If you need to contact your pension provider and tell them you want to do a wishes, something of wishes form, and they will help you do that. So that will distinguish who you want your pension to go to when you're no longer here. Because as from 2027, the government are going to tax any unused private pensions when you die. So bloody spend it now.
They're horrible.
I tell you,
They
we get
really are vermin.
absolutely. We get taxed on everything possible while we're alive, and now when we're dead, they tax us some more. Now, you know, there are over 100 trusts. It can be a very, very complicated and deep learning curve. And I'm no expert, but I do know quite a bit about private express trusts. I do know how to set one up. I do know what you need, and I do help people. I don't do it for free. I ask for a donation because, you know, I have debts
Time
too.
is
I have a
time.
mortgage. Exactly. And because I had such a massive response, I had to start charging for phone calls because my whole day was taken up talking to people and I wasn't earning any money. And when you charge for a phone call, it really weeds out the time wasters, or
Do
people
you know
want
what?
something.
I'm glad you said that because even back when I was doing those affidavit for people, I was like, oh, we shouldn't be charging people. But like I always said, if people are going to pay you for something, they're going to have more of an interest in the thing that they're paying you for. People
Yeah,
that want and expect stuff for free all the time have no appreciation of it because it's always just an expected privilege that yeah, and so they don't apply the same kind of effort to somebody who's
yeah,
actually
yeah.
paying for the service because that's the whole point.
I mean, I get emails all the time from people saying, "Have you got a template? Could you tell me the process?" Da, 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 da. And I can't put all that in an email. And there is no template. I mean, there are certain legalities you have to put on there, um, but you can't do a template because a trust is like a mortgage. It's individual. It's different for everybody. Everybody have different assets that they want to leave or secure. So you can't do a template. It doesn't work that way. Every trust is individual. And it's only about 5 to 7 pages long, depending on what you want to put in there. But as long as it's written out correctly and it's witnessed by 2 independent witnesses, it's legal. It's legal and it's private, and you don't have to tell anybody. And the other good thing about a trust is you bypass probate. So if you die, your loved ones have to go on to or get a solicitor, which you don't need to do. You just go online on .gov and do your probate form and tell them everything your deceased has had, and then they count it up and see if you're eligible for inheritance tax or whatever, and then you wait for probate to be granted, which can be up to a year.
Blind.
If you've got a trust in place, you bypass probate altogether. If they have a bank account and they've left that bank account to you, then you just produce the trusts and that bank account is signed over to you, and you can close it or empty or do whatever you want to for it. So that's one thing, probate. Another thing is nursing home fees. If you don't want to lose your house, if you have to go into care, which I mean, God forbid you have to. But if you have to go into care, then they cannot make you sell your house if you've had it in trust for 7 years or more. There is rumours that they're trying to increase the 7-year rule to 10-year rule, and there's rumours that they're going to decrease the inheritance tax allowance from 325 to God knows what. If they do decrease it, then almost everybody who has a property in the UK will be facing this problem. So that's another one. Another one is divorce. Lots of people get divorced, especially there's lots of second and third marriages. If you have assets from a previous marriage and children from a previous marriage and you want to protect that, you can put that in trust. So if you do, unfortunately, end up getting divorced, then your loved ones keep your assets when you pass. There's quite a few reasons, to do this, but if you go to a solicitor, which you're more than welcome to do, please do. They know more than I do. They will charge you an average of 500 quid. not 500, sorry, bloody hell, I wish, £5,000. Um,
Unfortunately, also the things with barristers and solicitors and lawyers and that, they've all sworn an oath to the Bar Guild, so they will
yes, and
always,
they have to register it. Yeah,
yeah,
they
so they
have
will
to register
always
it
be
with their
working
party.
for the one that you're fighting
No,
against.
absolutely. I spoke to a gentleman last week. He had a property and he had two pieces of land on separate titles, and he wanted it all in a trust. And he went to a solicitor and he wanted to charge him 15 grand, 5 grand per asset. And the thing is, I mean, there's lots of talks on trusts. Mel had somebody on. What's her name? Mel. She had somebody on. Had a lady on who was taught in trusts. But everybody used this very complicated language. And I give it to people in normal terms, in
Layman terms.
layman's terms. Your average person on the street does not understand all this legal jargon, and there's a reason for that. They don't want you to understand it. They bamboozle you with all this law. And yes, it can be as complicated as you want it to be. But if you want a simple trust to protect your home, your even your crypto. I get a lot of emails about crypto. You can protect that.
Can I just ask really quickly? Sorry for jumping in, but it's while I remember. With your home, putting your home in a trust, does it have to be mortgage free? Because
No.
technically speaking, the bank owns probably the bigger half of my house than what I do.
Yeah. No, you can put the equity in trust. Now, if you register a trust, which you don't have to, I keep having to say this, it's a private trust. You do not have to register it. If you go on .gov and you ask that question, they will come back and say you do have to register all trusts, but if it's a private trust, you could lose some aspects of your privacy. No shit. You don't have to do it. Trusts come under equity law, and equity law precedes them. So, you don't have to tell anybody until after the event. And it's the same with registering a death. You have to register a death, believe it or not, within 5 days. Whereas a birth, you get 42 days. So what's the rush? It's so
Yeah,
you
because they're
register.
dead.
I mean, obviously you can't cremate or bury somebody without a death certificate. So you have to register the death,
Mm.
but
Well,
you
see,
don't have to
because
tell anybody else.
I'm always under the impression that the minute you register anything to the government, it becomes the government's.
Exactly,
Mm.
exactly. So you have to register the death to get your loved one cremated or buried. You can't do it without a death certificate. But then they tell you have to notify HMRC, you have to notify Land Registry, you have to notify all the banks. I mean, if you're deceased, if the deceased has got bank accounts and they have direct debits or they have benefits coming in, then yeah, I suppose you need to notify them. But then that account is frozen; it cannot be touched. You know, but if it's just a savings account, there's no law to say you have to notify the bank. And if it's in trust, you just go to the bank, say this is a trust document, and it's released to you. But it's all about information collecting. It's all, and you have 42 days to register a birth, which is usually a very happy event. But then you get 5 days when you've lost a loved one and you're still in the grieving process. You're not in the right mind really to look at all the ins and outs of what you have to do. So it's a lot of pressure for people, and I think it's wrong. I really do.
It's
And
probably manipulated to be that way.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. And like everything else, they keep you in fear. And if you ask the question, what happens if I don't register this trust? If you go on Google and ask the question, and that will come back and say, well, we could fine you £100. We might, we may. And if the trust isn't registered at all, we could fine the trustee £5,000. We could, we might, we may. There's no law attached to this. You cannot be
Just empty
prosecuted.
threats. The same as your TV license.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they still haven't come round. I've been waiting 2 years for them buggers to turn up, and they still haven't turned up. So
See, I hope they don't turn up here.
no.
Mm.
You should just walk away and say no thank you and shut the door
That's
and
it.
don't
Just close the door on them. Don't even
Yeah,
entertain them.
yeah.
Just buy.
But it's difficult because if anybody's like me, I want to give them what for. I want to say, what the hell are you doing here? You're a paedophile as well, BBC, all run by paedophiles. But I thought, it's best to keep it
You
shut,
nonce
really.
protector, you.
Yes, exactly. So it's best to try and keep cool because it absolutely infuriates me, these people who come round, pretending that they have some power over you
Same
and
with me.
threatening you with this, that, and the other. It's just so annoying, you know. I mean, the Eon guys who come round with a fake warrant on a tablet, no name. It's just to the occupier, no name at the end of the warrant. The police came and completely agreed with them. Oh no, you can have warrants on tablets now. It's perfectly legal.
And yet no policeman is trained in law.
No, no, it's like no doctor is trained in nutrition. Doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, it does to you and me, because we understand the game.
Yeah.
It's about selling product to make you better rather than relying on what you have freely and abundantly.
Yes.
No,
Yes,
absolutely.
exactly.
So say I want to put my assets, my car, I don't think you can put people in, can you? Like children.
You can put children. You can. If you're leaving children something in your trust, then it's down to the trustee to look after that asset until they reach an age where you decide that you want them to have that asset, and you decide how you want that asset to be distributed. Say, they get so much at the age of 21, they get the rest at 25, or whatever.
But you can't actually put kids in the trust. I mean, so like if social services, there's many stories where they come and try and remove children. If they were in a trust.
I haven't actually researched that, but I don't think you can. But I mean, I will have it. That's a good one. I will have a look at that.
Well, I'm glad to have helped you with your rabbit hole.
Oh well, it gets deeper and deeper.
But for most people, that is the biggest thing that I know I'd say it in a jesty way, but like when I'm talking to my wife about not paying the council tax or not paying the electric and all that kind of thing, her go-to is I just want my kids to be okay.
Yeah.
And so for most parents, I can't even use that word. So for most mother and fathers,
yeah,
their primary fear is related to the children, isn't it? So if you can safeguard them by putting them in a trust, then that would be quite a good
I will research that. I mean, you can set up guardianship for your children and things like that. Getting back to the mortgage bit.
Yes.
If you register your trust and you have a mortgage, if you put your equity of your property in the trust, you register that, and it's a bit of a ball ache actually to do that with a land registry. But if you do that, then when you go to remortgage, they're probably going to say no, because you've taken the equity out, and there's nothing for them to claim back if you default.
See, we're due to remortgage our property in September.
Yeah.
I
can help you with that if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can help you with that. I was doing it for nearly 20 years, so I know all lenders have different criteria. But the rates are a little bit less than they were a couple of years ago, but it's still pretty high up there for most people.
We took our mortgage out in 2020.
Yeah.
So
okay.
This is our first time of having to remortgage.
Well, I spent 18 years saving people money. I was very good at my job, even if I say so myself. I got people out of a lot of pickles. Financial pickles, marriage disputes. You're more of a counsellor really than a mortgage expert in my job. And then come 2018, not 18, sorry, how long ago was it? A couple of years ago now, 23, when the rates went through the roof. And I was ringing people up and telling them, I'm sorry, but your mortgage has gone up £500 a month. Your mortgage has gone up £300 a month.
So that's what scares me blind, because when we took the mortgage out, my wife was part-time and I was working full time.
Yeah.
But now we're kind of role reversed, and I'm not even doing the part time. I'm just doing this. So that
Well,
YouTube.
if your income has changed and you don't have enough income to remortgage to a better deal, to a better lender, you can stay with that lender and do what's called a product transfer, where they will tell you what rates they were willing to give you for the next 2, 5, whatever years you want to fix yourself in for. And then you choose the rate, or you can decide to go back on their variable rate, which goes up and down with the Bank of England. When they put it up and down, so will your mortgage payments if you stay on the variable. Now, usually 99% of the time, if you stay on the variable, it's going to cost you much more than fixing yourself into a new deal.
Hmm.
But it doesn't cost you anything to look, so I can help you out there.
All right,
And
awesome.
most people are doing product transfers now because the rates were ridiculous. For instance, I was paying 489 a month, interest only, on my mortgage. And in November before last, I came off my fixed rate. I think I was 1.99. I come off my fixed rate, and my mortgage went up to 2,100 a month. It's killing me, and it was the cheapest rate I could get. I'm a mortgage advisor. But
Do you think?
because my property is quite unique, and I had to have and I want interest only because I didn't intend to downsize eventually. Then there was only a few lenders open to my requirements. So I was bloody hammered. It's 5.29 I'm on until this November. So yeah, hence I asked for a
Is it,
donation for my help.
yeah, absolutely. Is it a big house?
It is, yes. Yeah, I've got a 5-bedroom bungalow, and I'm on the outskirts of a lovely village, and it's very nice here, and I love it here. But it's killing me. These payments are killing me.
Mm.
And I was ill. I was ill last year, November 23 and January 24. I had an operation, so I had to take a few months off work. I used up all my savings and didn't pay my mortgage for 3 months. Went into arrears, and boy, did they hammer me! Did they come after me? They say they're sympathetic, but they're not. They're not. And because they didn't offer a
That's all they
mortgage
want.
holiday, yeah, because they didn't offer a mortgage holiday on their deal, then they just said, you need to pay your arrears by the end of January. We're going to start repossession proceedings. I went, what? But I mean, I've been in the business a long time. They can't just take your house just like that. It takes months and months and months. But it's just the fear mongering, really.
Yeah, they do
They're
well on that.
absolutely awful. Yeah, absolutely awful. But you have to go with the best rate available to you, whether you like the lender or not.
This is it.
So,
I think
so
they're all
if so,
pretty
if
much
you've
the
got a
same.
mortgage, if you got a mortgage and you register it, then the lender will say, no, 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 you know, we can't do that because if you default and you have to sell the property, all the equity's in trust, and we'll only get the money that you owe us and the
So,
interest and everything.
it's really awkward. So, is it worth putting your house in trust after you've remortgaged it, and then when you come up to renew it next time, remortgage it again, take your house out of trust so you can do the? I don't know. I'm
It's not.
naive.
Well, no. I mean, if because it's a private trust, you don't have to register it, and you don't have to tell anybody. And
Hmm.
that trust, and and the trust assets doesn't go to your beneficiaries until you pass over. So it's not like you're giving. I mean, you are giving it away on paper now, and but it's private. Everything in that trust is private. All the elites, anybody who's got any money, all these rich and famous, they don't own anything. It's all in trust. And trusts have been going for over 500 years.
Hmm.
And they can be extremely complicated if you've got lots of businesses or you've got lots of assets. Yes, I would say, please talk to a tax expert, because if you know any awake tax experts, great. But I don't know of any. I only know one awake accountant, because they've
Really?
all been in the system a
Hmm.
very, very long time.
This is it, and this is why educated people were so easily duped over the 2020 event, which
Yes,
went on for
yes,
more than 3 weeks. And it's because they've been indoctrinated into that system. So the cleverer you are, intelligent you are, I think the easier you are to manipulate.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, doctors are a great example. You know, they're still pushing this bullshit.
No,
You know, because
absolutely.
they've been in a system, they've been in the educational system a very long time. I mean, I hardly learned anything at school. I couldn't bear it. I hated school with a passion. And I just thought, why are they teaching this? What do I know? Didn't need to know this rubbish. You know, I left school at 16 with nothing, absolutely nothing. And, you know, as I got older, I started to educate myself. And I done loads of different jobs, hundreds of different jobs in my lifetime. And I had my mortgage, redone in 2022 or something like that. No, 2002. And I spoke to the lovely old boy who came around my house to do my mortgage for me. And I just said, "How do I do your job?" "Oh, well, you just have to do these exams, Joe, and then contact me and I'll put you in contact with the company." And I did it. It took me over a year to do it. I mean, they were the most boring bloody, studying I've ever had to do in my life. But I knew that people would always want mortgages. So they'd always want life protection, insurances. And I thought, well, I'll never run out of business.
But also,
So,
I think it also comes down to the same adage, is where people who do things for, where you pay for a service, they appreciate it more and they put more into
yeah,
it. It's the same with education, I think. When you're at school, you're forced to go to school, so
yes,
you're
yeah,
doing it under duress. VC, I don't want to be here. But then,
absolutely.
but
And
but when you're
children
doing
learn
it
so much more.
yourself, then you're more invested.
Exactly. Exactly. So I've done that and I got into the business. And then 2008 happened and the bottom fell out of the market. Um, and I almost lost my house over it, because I didn't do a mortgage for 9 months because lenders were not lending for any reason whatsoever. I survived on building contents applications and life insurance. I survived on that. And it took years. It took years to come out of that. You know, it was bloody awful. And then I built myself back up and I done really well. And I moved to this house. And then 2020 struck and I was just sent down these rabbit holes. And I thought, oh my God. You know, I was never a rule follower. I never trusted the government. I've always known that they're there to line their own pockets and they're just puppets of people who are much higher up. But I had no idea.
Mm.
I had no idea the
So this
extent
is
of the
well, this is
corruption.
this is the one. I think this is the one brilliant thing that happened that maybe the elites didn't bank on, and that is people had so much spare time to just research stuff.
Exactly.
What am I going to do?
Exactly. They
Oh,
gave
well,
us
don't
a
have to go to
beautiful
work.
summer. Yeah,
Yeah.
they gave us a beautiful summer. They paid everyone to stay at home and do bugger all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, they were, that was the best year of my career. I was so busy because people are at home going through their finances, thinking, oh my God, I've got a 1.19 mortgage rate here. We could borrow some more money. We can afford this.
Petrol
And they
was at
could
an
at the
all-time
time.
low.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was great. But I think, that was a massive trap because they knew that they were going to hike the rates up through the roof and people were going to lose their homes. They
Mm.
knew that was coming.
And also, and this is something that Bob says said to me. I don't know if you met Bob at the weekend.
Yes, I love Bob.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
brilliant. But he said, like, and it kind of makes sense when you go back to all the incentives from work from home, work from home, work from home, and then you tie in council tax, which is only for commercial buildings.
Yeah.
Well, if you're
Yeah.
working from home, that now surely becomes a commercial building.
Yeah. You'd think so.
So
Yeah.
just throwing that one out there. I'm not saying that there's anything to that, but it
But
does
even
make
even
you
though
go,
it is for commercial premises, obviously they don't tell you that, and they still, they go after people who are residential, and they hammer them. They chase them down.
oh yeah, absolutely. I
But
think
there's
I
millions of
read
people.
somewhere
There's
like
a million.
I read somewhere like 100 million people have stopped paying their council tax.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. I talk to a lot of people, and I've spoken to hundreds of people since last October. And it's been so refreshing. I mean, they pay for a 40-minute phone call, but I'm on the phone usually over an hour because we've got so much in common. Everyone's on the same page. And they try and make us believe there's only a few thousand of us. There's millions of us. There's a million. This is of course the Great Awakening, and I think, I'm just an old bird from Suffolk who's trying to get the word out there. Yes, I'm earning a bit of money out of it. Please don't, shoot me for that. I have to earn a living, and I don't, otherwise I'd lose my home.
Yeah, well,
But
listen, you don't have to justify that to me, because anyone who can bring benefit to somebody else and it takes time to do so, then yeah, you should be rewarded for that.
yeah, I mean, I have done hundreds of hours of research on this, and I haven't researched all trusts because, I'm not going to live long enough for that, to be honest with you. But, I've concentrated on the private express trusts because most people just want to protect their most biggest asset, which is usually their home. So I've just been concentrating on that. And yes, you can put other things in that trust if you wish. And you can put more than one property in a trust. The solicitors will charge you obviously double, treble, whatever. But I don't do that. And I've had such a response to this because people haven't got a clue, and they need to know because it's really important. And I've had such a response that I'm going on tour this year. How posh is that? I'm going on tour. So anyone who wants me to talk in their town or their, community centre, anywhere, I'm going to, where am I going tomorrow? I've forgotten now. It's not very good, is it? Cumbria. I'm going to Cumbria tomorrow to give a talk in Cumbria.
Oh, and up north.
Up north, yes. I've never been, so I'm going to do a little bit of sightseeing when I'm there as well. So I've had to set up a new website, which is Josephine Wallow, WOLO, consultancy.com. So if anybody wants to book a call or email me for a request for me to give a talk in their town or city or wherever, please go online and, I'll stick you in the diary and we can go from there. And there's also a list of the help that I provide. I mean, I'm licensed to give mortgage advice, even though I'm not with a network anymore. But I know a man who can find me the best rates. So I can still give advice on mortgages. I'm licensed to do protection, and I can do wills, probate. I help people with their probate forms. Most people can do this themselves, but probate is another really, really important thing that people need to look at now. Ever since, because they're bringing in this assisted dying bill, which is very scary, very scary.
Very Orwellian.
Yes, I read a book recently. It's a very small paperback. I read it in an afternoon, and it's called They're Trying to Kill Us, and This Is Why. And it goes through this assisted dying bill and the repercussions and the power they're going to have. And it's truly terrifying. It's by somebody King, I believe. I should have got it out really to show you, but it was a proper. Yeah. Yeah, but no, it's a big eye opener, and I'm thinking, oh my God, people need to know to put their health and their finances, with a lasting power of attorney. Costs you 80 odd quid per lasting power of attorney. You get a health one and you get a financial one. Do both, and you're never too young either to have one. It's not just for old people. Okay. In case they, end up in a nursing home and they want to switch them off. But it's also for young people, look at the people who have accidents and they're in comas. Very, very important. Have power of attorney, because otherwise they will take over and they will do what they seem fit to do. If you know what I'm saying.
No, I do. I know exactly what you're saying.
So if you go on the website, there's a list of the help that I provide. As I said, I don't provide advice on trusts, but everything that I'm putting in a book now. Here's another plug for you. I've got reams and reams of notes that I've taken over the last 2 years, and people tend to ask me the same questions like, can I put my mortgage property in trust? Can I move house? Can I sell? All these relevant questions. And I thought, well, why don't I just put it in a book? So I'm doing that now.
You can join Richard Vobes and Sold Together.
Exactly. So, like you said on Saturday, everyone's writing a bloody book. But as you know, this book is going to be in layman's terms. I'm going to explain the very basics, because it's the very basics that we start from. What is a settlor, a grantor? What is a trustee? What's the point in having a trust? What are the pros and cons? What's an asset? All these people will say obvious questions that they don't have answers to. So it's all written in layman's terms. It's all very
well. I hope somebody gets a free signed copy.
Of course.
And then we shall have you back on to discuss your book once you've.
There'll be several, and it will be. I mean, I haven't worked out the title completely yet, but it will be around. No lawyers required, because everybody thinks you have to go to the solicitor to do these things, and you don't. And as far as notarizing a trust, I was told by my notary that you don't have to notarize a trust unless it's got a foreign element to it. You've got a holiday home in Spain or something like that. But you can get it legalized. I mean, when they notarize something, all they're doing is checking the signatures of the settlers, the trustees, and the witnesses. They're just checking the signatures and making sure that you're the person you say you are. When you get it legalized, the solicitor or the notary will go through that document and make sure it's legally written. I've had several looked at, because I like to make sure I'm doing things right. I've had mine done, obviously, because mine was the first, and they're all okay. They're all legally put out. So, and I don't know how much it cost. I mean, that cost me 150 quid. My one did. But I mean, it varies from solicitor to solicitor. But you don't have to do it. But if you're a little bit wary or you're not sure, then just get it legalized. I've got nothing to hide here. I'm trying to protect people's assets for them, for what's coming down the line.
Well, I will leave your website and other contact details in the video description, so if anybody does want to go and check out the website and get in contact with Josephine, then I will leave all the relevant links in the video description, so you can do that. Yeah. So that's not a problem.
I'll give you my email address for my mortgage and protection. I'll give you that. Give them the email address for that too. I mean, if somebody wants some mortgage advice, it's free. Just email me a question and I will answer it. If you want the best rate for your particular circumstances, then I can't do that, because I need to know everything about you basically to be able to get your quote.
Like a full credit check.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people have credit issues and think they can't get a mortgage if they've got credit issues. You can, but you will not get a good rate. But depending on the defaults that are shown, depending on your score, and that's another big con, because when I started in the business, there was no such thing as credit scores or credit history. They were self-served. I mean, your dog could have got a mortgage back then, but they've gone from one extreme to the other now. It's ridiculous now. There's no middle ground with mortgages, unfortunately.
No, what's the death grip, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, but if you've got clean credit, and that's another thing,
Well, I actually have got clean credit, I have to say.
Well, mine's absolutely gone down the pan, because the bank who I'm suing, I won't mention who they are, they're a high street bank. The bank who I'm going to sue has put serious defaults on my credit for a debt I don't owe, and so has Eon. So my credit is now rubbished, which I can overturn when I get round to it, because it's in dispute.
Yeah, see, and I think that's one of the other reasons why people, and like you say, it's that fear thing where they don't want to stop paying their council tax or their bills, because what about if I need a loan further down the line and my credit rating's trash because I've stopped paying this and that,
Exactly, they've got you obsessed with going online and checking your score.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Got to be a good citizen. Oh my God, my score's gone up this much. But that is part of the business now. It's part of mortgages and loans, credit cards. It's all about your credit score. It's all about your credit history. And young people who haven't got any history, young people who've never had any credit, they find it quite difficult to get a mortgage because there's no history to look at. So anybody out there who wants to get a mortgage in the next year or two, get a credit card, pay it off every month. Please pay it off every month, because if you pay it off every month, they'll write to you and say, "Oh, we're going to up your limit." Don't get sucked in, because it's very easy to get sucked in and go above your head and then find you can't pay it off every month. But get a credit card, pay for your groceries, or don't pay for your groceries, pay bloody cash for that. Just and pay it off every month, and then you'll have a credit history then, and they can look back on it and say, well, you've had this credit, you managed it really well, you can have a good rate.
Use it to pay like your phone bill or something every month.
Yeah,
and then you just replace that with your wage.
If you're going shopping or you're going to a pub, use cash. If they don't accept it, walk out. I draw money out every week to do my grocery shop, and I do most I buy most of my stuff out of the supermarket. I only get the stuff that I need to get from the supermarkets. All my fruit and veg and my meat is bought locally, organically, because I don't trust them. I don't trust what's in their food anymore in the supermarkets.
Yeah, that's fair. See, we always get our fruit and veg from the marketplace in Thetford.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know whether they're still spraying. So I wouldn't say it's organic food, but I'm assuming it's better than what you get in Tesco's, because it's A, it's not in a plastic bag, and B, it's probably fresher.
And all this processed stuff, they're now allowed to add insects to your food, up to 5% of insects, without telling you, without putting it on the label.
Yeah, that is weird. I mean, I know that there is always. Yeah, I know they have to allow for a certain amount of animal, like if you're making bread.
Yeah.
You probably cannot limit the odd grasshopper getting caught in the machine and ground down. Yeah. So they have to allow for that. But if they're doing it on purpose, like, right, well, this will make up that 5%. In you go. Yeah. Then I've got an issue with it. But I can understand where they have to allow a certain percentage just because of natural.
I get that. The 5% is quite a lot. And who's to say they're actually abiding by that 5%? Who's to say they're not putting more in? Who's policing this?
Exactly. Trust is dead.
Absolutely. Completely.
Trust is dead. Absolutely. Wow, listen, thank you very much for talking with me. I've really enjoyed hearing what you have to say.
So have I. I mean, there's much more to say, but you can't get everything in an hour. And people are going to comment and say, "Oh, she didn't talk about this, she didn't talk about that." Well, it'll be. Well,
go on, just talk about 2 more things. Go on.
Okay.
I'm in no real hurry, so if there's anything that you do want to say, then go for it.
It's just people seem to have a real block when it comes to getting their head around it's a legal document. Because a solicitor hasn't done it, it can't be legal. It is. A lot of people do their own wills. I help people with wills all the time. Lots of people do their own wills.
It's the same as an affidavit, isn't it? An affidavit.
Yeah, they don't register those. You do your will, you stick it in your drawer or wherever. And then when you pop your clogs, you tell your kids where it is, they take your will out and there you go. It's a legal document. As long as it's witnessed by 2 independent witnesses and it's set out in a correct format, you don't need a solicitor. I'm sorry, solicitors, the couple of you who have emailed me pretending to be somebody who a layman who wants some information. I can pick you out a mile away, they're trying to catch me out telling people I give advice. I don't give advice on trusts. If you think of a question about a trust, put it in Google. You'll get the answer. If it's about, do I have to register it, then they'll go all around the houses and they'll say, we might do this or we may do that. But look for yourself. And there's a few people online who are doing courses for people to do their own trust. I think Sovereign Pete has got a 22-week course. I think that's 60 odd quid. It's not expensive anyway. I mean, if you can be asked to do that for 22 weeks, go ahead. I mean, I must say.
Is that an online course or is that an in-person?
No, it's
Must
an
be
online
online,
course, I
yeah. It must
believe.
be online.
I mean, it is, it's not, it's like mortgages, really. It's not the most bloody interesting thing to study. But to do a simple trust, you don't need to really, I mean, I've read a couple of books, but you don't really need to do that. And if you're not confident enough for doing it yourself, ask somebody to help you. Ask me. I will help you do it. Just email me, and I'll put you on the right track. Yes, I ask for a donation, but if you go to a solicitor, you're looking to pay at least 5 grand. And what normal man or woman in the street can afford 5 grand these days? I mean, they're barely keeping their head above water with the cost of utilities, bloody council tax, and food.
Yeah, which is all going up in April.
Yeah, and the powers that be currently are getting pretty worried, because Richard Robes had several emails telling him to take the video down. This woman knows nothing. Take that video down immediately. He politely told them he can have who he want on his show and to contact me if they have a problem, which they haven't. They've just pretended to be laymen. And also, there was an article in the Daily Mail that was sent to me from Paul from Cumbria, December last year. It was by Paul Lewis, and it said, "I've got it. I'm going to talk about that on my next Richards show." And it basically says, "Don't bother with doing a trust. They don't work and they cost a lot of money." Now, if that was true, what are these solicitors doing, charging an extortionate fees to make people's trusts for them? Are they committing fraud? No, they're not. Trusts do work. They do absolutely work. Otherwise, everybody who are anybody wouldn't have them.
Well, this is it.
So
Like you said, all the elites, all the upper echelons of society, and that they all have trusts.
they're getting worried, because otherwise, why would they put that statement out? Why would they put that article out? If people are not doing this, they wouldn't bother otherwise. They're getting worried because we're all waking up to our rights and how we can protect our assets. And they don't like that. So yeah, it's a big deal, and I've stuck my head above the parapet, and I'm willing to carry on, and I'm happy to travel the country and give people the facts.
That's
And what I don't know, like the children aspect you spoke about earlier, what I don't know, I'll find out for you, because I don't know everything.
No, which is a great thing to be able to admit. Makes you human. Can we say human?
Exactly.
Or is that
Yeah, I think we can say human. Yes, I think we can.
Okay.
I think we can. But I've never known so many people waking up at the same time as they are now.
Well, is this because of the fact that we're now in what's the star sign? Aquarius. So it's the time for truth and light to be shone in dark matters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are you quite positive then for the outlook of 2025? Do you think that there's going to be some good revelations and some? How do you see this year playing out?
I think we've probably got some serious shit coming down the line. I think they're gonna clamp down on us even harder. But I do honestly believe that we've already won this war. They're just throwing the toys out the pram.
Collateral damage.
Exactly. I'm not 100% sold on Musk or Trump, but at the moment that he's doing a good thing. He's exposing lots of stuff. Whether we'll get the Epstein names out, we don't know, or whether it will be edited a bit, probably. But yeah, I mean, I think because so many people are waking up to this, we've won. We've won. And like you said, how many, over 100 million people stop paying council tax now? People are starting to question, your water that comes out your tap. It's not fit for human consumption. I've got a distiller and I've got a Berkey. I shouldn't have to do that. It's disgusting. They're charging you to drink poison. How are they, how are they allowed to get away with this? Don't bloody pay it. It's not fit for consumption. Why should you have to pay for that?
And what exactly are you paying for? Are you paying for the infrastructure? Because let's face it, water is free because It's
Well, gas
obvious.
and electric are free, but we'll go down that rabbit hole another time.
All paid for.
It's just corporate greed. They're all billing agents for something that is and should be and used to be free. Just a cash cow. It's all to make the rich richer.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Same as car tax. It's only designed. It was only ever designed for commercial vehicles, as was the congestion charge.
Yeah.
As was council tax. It was all for commercial, for gain and reward only. It was never designed to be.
Exactly. ULEZ cameras, they're it's just money. They just want your bloody money. And there's millions of people not paying ULEZ charges, millions of people, and if we all said no, with, smart cities, no, I will bloody leave my area when I feel like it. And if you send me, you fine me for it, you can whistle. If we all did it, what can they do? Nothing. They've lost. But people are frightened to get into trouble. They're not all like me and you who go, up yours. They're frightened, and I get that. It's hard.
Don't get me wrong, it still scares me.
Yeah, it's hard to lose the fear because I don't want to lose my home. I love living here. And I don't want to lose my car. But if we lay down and keep letting them charge us for this, that, and the other, there's always a new tax coming out. We're now going to tax you with this, or you're not allowed to do this anymore, and you're not allowed to do that. Then we're already prisoners, but the walls are closing in, and we've just got to go. Nah, we're not doing this anymore.
Well, this is what David Icke always used to say, didn't he? Well, still does, that we live in a prison without bars.
Yeah. They don't want us owning a car. They don't want us owning a home. They don't want us going on holiday. This bloody bird flu rubbish. Why are they not killing seagulls?
Pigeons,
and other birds.
swans.
Yes, pigeons. Oh my God, I've got bloody millions of pigeons in my garden. Yeah. Why is it only chickens?
Exactly.
And why are they using?
Because that's the food. Because that's the food chain.
Exactly. And if you get 2 chickens out of thousands that test positive, why not just euthanize them and quarantine the rest and see what happens? Why kill all of them? Why kill thousands and thousands of birds to force us to comply? No, it's not happening.
No.
Why are you registering your bloody chickens? How ridiculous.
Well, no, but to be fair, I know a lot of people registered their frozen chickens in the freezer as well.
Yeah, they crashed the website, didn't they?
That's it. Fair play to those people. You're my hero. Not all heroes wear capes. Well, listen, thank you very much for chatting with me. I've really enjoyed it. I hope people who are watching this have learnt some. And if you're fed up like we're fed up, go in the video description, click on the links and get in contact with Josephine. But for now, look after yourselves, take care, and I will speak to you all again soon. Ta-ta for now.